Christmas in New York is an extremely nice thing, and it's been a while since I've been on a walk, a few days at least. Just wanted to start over here on the Highline to sort of show everybody how the Christmas decorations are shaping up and what's going on. I think people may notice an improvement in quality today. The previously smashed phone is back, and so we've got all the lenses and full resolution of this great sensor and everything. Oh, now what's going on there? Look, they've built something new. Or, right? Was that tall thing there before? I don't know, there's always something going on here. It's quite interesting, of course, but I wanted to come out today. I've known for quite a while that actually there's a lot of people who enjoy seeing me on these walks, not because they care about what I have to say, but they just like seeing New York. I've even noticed a couple of YouTube channels that just walk around and don't say anything at all about politics. I think from the standpoint of making a successful YouTube channel, that might be better because it's just way less controversial. I don't see those guys, getting dinged off of YouTube and whatever. And by the way, I got dinged on X yesterday. It's still a gamified platform. And anyway, we don't need to go into too many details about that, but if you're looking for me on X, the X account at JG_CSTT has been wrongfully locked by that despicable wannabe hooker, Mindy Robinson. And I say she's a wannabe hooker because that's what she looks like to me. I don't have any evidence that she's actually employed as a prostitute, but it's hard to say. She got angry that I posted a public domain photo of her, photo that she produced, and as far as I know, she put on the internet. But we'll talk about that later. I want to talk about Hunter Biden's decade of criminal activity. I'm not sure if you can even follow at JG_CSTT right now. I hope that people will go and subscribe to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth and keep up with all the posts on there. But I want to talk about Hunter Biden's decade of criminality. He was pardoned, of course, for this gun charge. And, he was filling out that he wasn't a drug addict on the gun form. And just many, many attorneys have told us that people don't really get charged for that crime. Dershowitz had the best explanation. He said that, this is a form that gets filed and nobody other than the gun seller or whoever is doing the background check, or people just don't see it. I don't understand what the point of the form is if you can lie on it and then nobody ever sees it. That's obviously a broken system as well. But Dershowitz went on and on about how he just hasn't seen people getting charged with this, and that it proves what Joe Biden is saying, that Hunter Biden was targeted for political prosecution. Now, that is a lie. The thing that's complicated about it, however, is it is what lawfare strives to do. Let's call it the perfect lawfare lie. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a statement that is at once the truth and also a lie. Joe Biden tells you that Hunter is only being prosecuted because his last name is Biden. Well, that's true. But it's not because his father didn't want him to be prosecuted. It's not because the Department of Justice has singled him out and is, adjudicating cases and operating its process in some way for Hunter Biden that differs than it would for other people. It's Joe Biden who wanted him to be prosecuted for that stuff. This guy just left a burning cigarette rolling in the street. He doesn't care. That could go fall in the subway, start a fire. The thing is still burning. People don't give a shit. You tell me, oh, we're all in this together. That thing rolls down into the subway. I once heard that throwing cigarettes down into the subway is the #1 cause of subway fires. So that guy doesn't care, but he could kill somebody. Could you imagine if you were trapped in a subway car and it was filling up with smoke because that asshole needs to smoke a cigarette? And then he's, well, we're all in this together. Put on a mask and get a vaccine. Maybe he doesn't feel that way, but the limit on freedom is you can't do things that infringe on other people's freedom. You gotta have respect, and if you don't, Somebody needs to come along and regulate you. And it should be the cops, in my opinion. People don't want that. They want anarchy and chaos. But the problem that we have right now is that we live in a world controlled by criminals. And so let's get back to this perfect lawfare lie. They want to be able to repeat this ad nauseum. Hunter Biden was targeted for political prosecution because he's a Biden. And they want to say that and say that and say that because at once it is projection with regard to what they've done to Trump. So then when Trump argues, they say, oh, you're just saying that because that's what they said. But the fact is, this is a complicated process where they wanted Hunter Biden to go on trial for these gun crimes and drug charges that nobody ever gets prosecuted for because it opened the window to have 2 years of smoke and fire and noise about, oh, it's a fair justice system because they're prosecuting Trump and they're prosecuting Hunter Biden, and because it creates the predicate for giving this pardon. And now, sure, everybody heard, oh, gun form, drug form, this is all stuff that people can relate to, not really a big deal. He didn't actually shoot anybody. He didn't do any crimes with the gun. He's just an idiot recovering from drugs. But, oh, by the way, he's also absolved of all the crimes he's done for 10 years. So now the question becomes, first of all, what has he done over the past 10 years? But before we even go to that, let's look at some of the legal challenges that have already arisen. David Weiss, he's the special counsel who's been doing all this prosecuting of Hunter Biden, and he entered some kind of objection to the pardon, a motion objecting to the pardon, saying that, oh, this has never been challenged in court before, and, this pardon should not erase the historical fact that a jury, a grand jury, found Hunter Biden guilty. First of all, so what? Is this guy writing a history book? Who cares? He skates. History doesn't give a shit. What Weiss is actually doing is covering his own ass. He's saying, oh, no, I didn't selectively prosecute this guy. I didn't do anything wrong as a prosecutor. This is Joe Biden doing wrong by pardoning his son. He's trying to create another argument to deflect from the actual argument. And the question for David Weiss is, why did you put forward such an impotent challenge? This is the most flaccid, limp court filing I've seen since the last thing George's brother put in. Why am I saying that? Because it doesn't matter what history says. What matters is if criminals get stopped and the stolen money gets returned, or at least if they are punished so severely that the next time some asshole criminal gets the idea that they want to do stuff like this, they're going to think, you know what? History teaches me that criminals go to jail. That's not where we're at right now, to tell you the truth. Right now, criminals do not go to jail. Criminals go directly to the Oval Office. Now, the question I would have for David Weiss is, why did you not challenge the constitutionality of the pardon? This has never been challenged in court before because what he's challenging is stupid. The thing that needs to be challenged is, hold the phone, Joe Biden. You've exceeded your presidential authority by issuing this particular pardon. What are you talking about, Jason? I thought pardons are unconditional. No, there's one condition on them. Here is the annotated Constitution. This is from Congress. They give you the actual Constitution and then they explain it. So it talks about the pardon power. The president shall be commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy of the United States and of militias and blah, blah. And then it's hard to read here. There. He shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Now, that is the thing that has never been challenged in court before. What needs to happen immediately is somebody with the appropriate authority, maybe, I don't know, Donald Trump, Attorney General of something, a state. I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so sometimes formulating these legal strategies and theories is extremely difficult for me, and I could be wrong. You could be a constitutional attorney and look at that and say, oh no, Jason, that's talking about he can't pardon himself in a case of impeachment. Where does it say himself? It just says in cases of impeachment. And I think a strong legal argument could be made that the fact that this is his son, and he is the one being investigated for impeachment, he absolutely just exceeded the mandate, because we don't know what crimes he's talking about. He just protected himself from impeachment and run afoul of the Constitution. So what do? I don't know. But let's continue to examine Hunter Biden's decade of criminality. What could Joe Biden possibly be wanting to hide? Going back to January 2014. This guy looks like trouble right there, smiling in a sinister way. So, takes me back to the title. Who is Kenneth Rakishev? Have you ever heard of him? Maybe not. If you listen to Stupid Julie, you might know who he is. If you went and sat in the courtroom back in, I don't know, June, or when was that? May, June, July, something like that. It went on for a while. It might have gone the duration of June. But if you sat in the city of Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater, you would have observed a lot of weird stuff. I did. In fact, this guy, Kenneth Rakishev, he came up. Who is Kenneth Rakishev? Let's look at this for a second. Kenneth Rakishev, according to his own LinkedIn, he's a Kazakhstani investor and entrepreneur and the president of FinCraft Group. I don't know what that is, but he's the president of it. Now, what's interesting is, here, let's look at his experience. Yeah. So here he's the chairman of that FinCraft Group, full-time, going back to 2019. He's also a non-executive chairman of this. I mean, this is another one of these guys who's like, how is he doing all this? He's the chairman, he's the president, he's the founder and owner. All this stuff is happening concurrently. When does he have time to do any of this? He's a managing partner. He's involved with everything from real estate, finance, a lot of energy industry stuff. He's the vice president of the Asian Boxing Confederation. He's into judo and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. It's difficult to know what this guy is really about, Kenneth Rakishev. You also might have heard of Kenneth Rakishev. It doesn't mention anywhere in here that he was the director of BTA Bank. That's the bank in the whole Felix Sater lawsuit. There's something screwy going on in that bank and with that case and with Felix Sater, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I am sure it's definitely not what they were talking about in court there. Look, this weird tree was replaced with a giant pigeon. It's strange, but I like that better. I mean, this is like sort of undeniably art. Somebody sculpted a pigeon. It's big. I do like that. The size of it is impressive. Here. Oh, it's a dinosaur. Is it? Ivan Argot, dinosaur, 2024. Cast aluminum. Wow. How did you cast that? It's huge. For the 4th Highline Plinth Commission, Ivan Argot presents Dinosaur, the colossal, humorous. Why is it humorous? Do you find that humorous? This sculpture, do you find it humorous? Yeah? But you're not laughing. What's humorous about it? It's just a bird.
It's strange.
It's strange, but is it humorous? Now you sound French.
No, Italian.
Italian. Okay, but maybe humorous. Maybe there's a translation.
Yeah.
How are you guys enjoying New York?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And can I ask, what do you think about what happened with Trump when they tried to assassinate him?
We're trying to Trump.
When they tried to shoot Trump.
Yes.
Do you think it was the one guy on the roof or something else? Conspiracy or one guy?
Conspiracy is when there is a proof, no? There is the proof that there are a lot of people.
So you say just one guy got to the roof and did all that shooting?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
What do you think?
There's no fucking way. There's multiple shooters, multiple bullet trajectories. There's a photograph of a dead guy on the roof that the police have altered. I sued the Beaver County District Attorney's Office and won, and the court ordered them to present the original photograph from the police officer's iPhone, and they've refused. Why would they do that unless the photo has been altered? If I'm an idiot and a conspiracy theorist, presenting the original photo would prove that.
You are filming us, but you public this video when?
It's live right now.
Oh, okay.
And you guys are on Crowdsource the Truth. Enjoy New York.
Thank you.
Visit Crowdsource the Truth on YouTube or X and enjoy
bye.
the bird. So there we got a little Italian perspective. I don't know if those people have all the facts, but they seem friendly. I don't know if they know the meaning of the word humorous, but I don't know. That bird that's not too humorous to me. It's a demonstration of hubris, perhaps. It's a giant bird. Anyway, Kenneth Rakishev, he's the guy that wired 100 and whatever thousand to Hunter Biden, and then he bought a Porsche that he drove. He had a turbo 911 or something like that he was driving 172 miles an hour on the highway. That's amazing that he didn't crash, even not being on crack. It's astounding. So, but also, here, Kenneth Rakishev, this is what's interesting. So he comes up in Felix Sater, the Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater. This is from the Senate Oversight Committee. They made a timeline here. And back in February of 2014, Hunter Biden, they say, met with Kenneth Rakishev. And there he is. There's a picture of him there at the Four Seasons Hotel, I think, in Washington, D.C. Where did they say they met? Met with Washington, D.C. Anyway, people can see it there. But so the notes, these are my notes, my handwritten notes from the court there. And what I wrote down is Kenneth Rakishev gets objected to. Sater called him Fredo Corleone. So what was happening, to help people understand this, so Sater calls him Fredo Corleone, that is objected to. Sater further says that this guy was placed as the vice president of the bank. And as I recall, Felix Sater said that this guy was like somehow given the bank. Like he was the director of the bank, but I mean, he really just seems like a sort of organized crime figure who, I mean, how does he have all this? He does look to me like somebody who could have skill, expertise, and experience in mixed martial arts. He looks sort of tough and fit. But how does he have time for all that? And is he a financial expert, an energy expert, a mixed martial arts expert? I mean, he seems like he's in the same business as Hunter Biden, which is just running around getting money, putting together criminal deals, and then making sure nobody gets in trouble for them. That's what it appears. That's what it looks like. I have to say, when I was in that courtroom during the city of Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater, I could smell the lawfare coming off of both sides. Now, another brief interruption here in service of ADD. I noticed this earlier. So this thing, the shed, I don't know what the hell this is. I guess it's some kind of event, venue. But they now are saying they have this thing here, Luna, which is a spectacular showcase of the world's first art amusement park, and apparently this was lost since 1987. So if it was around in 1987 and got lost, how is this the first showcase? I don't know. doesn't make a lot of sense, but there are definitely some artists that they're talking about. I can't resist a Dali exhibit. I mean, God knows how much they're going to charge you to get in here. Now, wait a minute. What is this? This is not Salvador Dali. This is some crap that they painted. This doesn't even look like Dali. Well, anyway. Whoa. And so that's Luna. I mean, it looks more like a Broadway show than an art museum. I don't know what this is. Tickets available at Luna Luna. And then we have this weird alien-looking thing with those swirls. Ah, look, of course. They wouldn't be satisfied without fitting in the 33, would they? There's always something weird going on. So Kenneth Rakishev, he's giving money to Hunter Biden. That report talks about emails going back and forth. This guy's involved in oil companies, gas companies. You know, this is the whole Burisma thing. And so, well, back to my notes, the person or the group doing the objecting were the attorneys for BTA Bank and the city of Almaty, Kazakhstan. See, because I knew certain things about Felix Sater and his attorney and the case, I could a little bit read between the lines. What I'm saying is, Jonathan Snyder, Felix Sater's attorney, who used to represent me and who I believe worked with George's brother and Adam Sharp to basically throw my case deliberately and cause me to lose, to make sure that the Crowdsource the Truth 120,000 strong Jason Goodman YouTube channel would be terminated, that I would lose all of my money paying Snyder, that the video showing the crony image would be removed forever, and so that I could be silenced. And it was, you know, Caproni working with Adam Sharp and my attorney, George's brother. This is what the evidence that I've seen in the public domain causes me to believe. You might look at the same evidence and come to a different conclusion, but I don't think so. So anyway, I knew that there were things going on. I knew that Felix Sater had signed this secret agreement with Andrew Weissman in 1998 and became a deep cover intelligence asset. And so in 1998, he was Bill Clinton's man. They're friends. Look at them. They're hanging out at this barbecue. They're having cocktails, doing whatever the hell these two idiots do. But remember, Felix Sater told the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence that after he signed that agreement, he was pivotal in obtaining Osama bin Laden's satellite cell phone number, that he had been tasked as a result of a special presidential directive. Who was the president at that time? It was Bill Clinton. To, what was it? He was tracking or recovering individual at-risk missiles that had been originally distributed to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. Those are Stinger missiles. And when I asked Sater if one of those missiles was used to shoot down TWA 800, he said, of course. Caproni was the U.S. attorney who made sure that the TWA 800 investigation went to the FBI. Now, people will listen to this, the uninitiated, the ignorant, the criminals involved, and they'll say, oh, this is too complicated. It must be a conspiracy theory. Okay, except the stuff I'm saying is factual. You can check it, and the people who I'm saying it about haven't denied anything that I've said. What I'm alleging is that they have the ability to manipulate outcomes in court. So when I started this, people like Field McConnell would say, the courts are rigged. And everyone's like, yeah, they're rigged. I love Field McConnell. He's a shit stirrer, and he's sticking it to the man. And he says the courts are rigged. Well, Field McConnell is an ignorant idiot, and I think part of this set to thwart David Hawkins, among other things. But just saying that, I've said it many times. I mean, that's like if you go to the doctor and he tells you you're sick and he leaves the room and he prescribes no medication, doesn't describe what the ailment is, and you're just left being sick with no resolution. So I really wanted to understand that. And I mean, that's not why I got involved in court, but I guess maybe I became interested in understanding it after I was forced to become involved. And I've now dedicated the last 8 years maybe inadvertently, witting or unwittingly, to unraveling this and understanding lawfare. It's not just bringing annoying lawsuits constantly to drain your money. It's a complicated series of actions that all fit together. And here we go, going back 10 years. You got a picture of Hunter Biden with the very guy who Felix Sater said is Fredo Corleone. So then the objection comes, and they're not objecting to the fact that he called him Fredo Corleone. They're objecting to Snyder and Sater trying to introduce this evidence that, according to them, Felix Sater is a hero and a spy and a CIA, FBI, DIA asset who's done all this great stuff to save the country, so have sympathy on him and don't make him pay this bank. That's what they were trying to do. And it had already, I guess this must have been done through what's called a motion in limine, which, again, I'm not an attorney, but I seem to recall them speaking about that. And that's something that was Stephen Biss attempted to use. A motion in limine allows you to specify certain evidence that cannot be brought in. And I do believe in that case, City of Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater, a motion in limine had barred the defense from mentioning anything about Felix Sater's government activities, I guess because it had been determined by Judge Colt that that particular activity had nothing to do with the allegations in this case, and therefore it's just not relevant and you can't bring it up. Because every time it was brought up, the attorneys for Boies Schiller Flexner objected. And so in those notes, I'm saying, wait, I think I had another copy of it. Yeah. In those notes, I'm saying, Snyder gets yelled at again at the sidebar. Yeah, so Fredo Corleone, VP of the bank, Snyder is yelled at again in the sidebar. Now, obviously, I can't hear what they're talking about in the sidebar. That's when they go and stand next to the judge's bench, and the judge, it's so stupid and low tech. The judge turns on this literally static. It's like you're in the court, you're hearing static, and they're just over there whispering like it's 1850. Like, why don't they have a separate sidebar room that is sealed so that nobody, because also if you were sitting close enough and if the person was speaking loud enough and if the static was low enough, you might hear something. You might. You can also see them. I mean, I could see that Snyder was getting yelled at, and Colt, to the extent that he becomes agitated, was getting I mean, you see things and you can infer things. And if they actually want this to be a secure process and not a bunch of theatrical bullshit, every single court case should be live streamed to video. There should be isolation rooms where the judge goes when people aren't supposed to hear things, and where the jury goes when they aren't supposed to hear things. There's a lot of ways that we could use technology to improve the efficiency and eliminate all of these obvious loopholes that allow the myriad corrupt individuals that operate in this judicial branch to take advantage. And we can all sit around and act like we're living in this innocent world where you can leave the door open and kids can play in the front yard until the sun sets and all that, but that's not where we are living. Oh yeah, I think I remembered. No, it looks like it's maybe okay. There's a new gimbal as well. Is the motion strange? It looks normal. I think when I bought it, it came with a weird setting, and I changed that setting, and maybe it holds. Speaking of weird, look at this. Now, the giant bird was okay, but what's with the decapitated dogs? What do you think about this art?
I like it. She's Italian, I think.
Are you Italian as well? Boy, there's a lot of Italian tourists on the Highline today.
Yes.
Come stai?
Benissimo, grazie.
How do you like New York?
I love it. It's my first time, actually.
You speak English beautifully. What do you think about this assassination attempt against Donald Trump? Was it one guy on the roof, or is there more to that?
I'm not up to date on that. I didn't know. I hope he's fine. and he will recover soon. But I wasn't aware. Imagine, I'm so sorry.
Wow. Do you think
Yeah.
Donald Trump will be a good president for Italy? Will his presidency in the United States help Italy, you think? Don't know.
That's who knows?
All
Who
right.
knows?
Well,
What,
listen, enjoy the
what-
art, enjoy the Highline, enjoy New York, and have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
I think this is creepy and horrible, but she was quite pleasant and nice. Why are there so many Italian people here on the Highline today? Strange. So you could make a whole show just walking around asking attractive women how they liked the assassination attempt. Anyway, so it was Boies Schiller Flexner that was objecting. Now here's the crazy part. Did people remember that Hunter Biden was an associate? Or maybe even a partner? What was he at Boies Schiller Flexner? I think I have a document on that. Let's look at this. Oh yeah, I was discussing this with Chat GPT. Hunter Biden served as counsel at Boies Schiller Flexner, a prominent law firm, from 2009 to 2014. During his tenure, the firm engaged in various international representations, including work related to Burisma. Okay, Kenneth Rakishev is a Kazakh businessman, and he's the guy who sent the $142,000 to Hunter Biden, also in 2014. So I ask, what does Felix Sater have to do with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden? What is going on? Isn't this weird? Rakishev. It's very strange. And then I was reading some mainstream article that said that Rakishev was acting as somebody's wallet. Maybe Krapanov. There's all these weird names that are involved. Ablyazov was the original guy who was controlling the bank. But I remember Mukhtar, what was the guy's name who was in charge of Kazakhstan? Who was the previous president of Kazakhstan? It's a complicated name. Yeah, Nazarbayev. That is who Snyder was trying to ask Sater. His question that he wanted to get out is that, isn't it true that Kenneth Rakishev is colloquially known as this guy, Nazarbayev's wallet? And he was just trying to get it out a million different ways, and they kept objecting to it. I mean, it was clear that Snyder was trying to do something that they wouldn't let him do. And remember, this case, Caproni wanted to get on it. She was on it originally. And Boies Schiller, they worked to get her off. So it's almost like, I don't know what it's like. Who is on whose side? I don't really know. But I definitely don't trust Boies Schiller Flexner at all. I'm telling you, both sides of this case acted super weird because, you know, people are like, oh, why would you do that? Why would you want both sides to be involved in a lawfare thing? Well, there's a lot of reasons why you might. Remember, Boies Schiller Flexner also represented Virginia Giuffre in that Dershowitz, you know, Giuffre v. Dershowitz. So in that case, it seemed to me, part of the reason they wanted to represent her is that she became this big public figure, wrote books and stuff like that. She was on the news. Anytime I would see her getting interviewed, I felt like she was acting. She doesn't feel authentic to me, and that made me very curious. I think a lot of people are kind of, deferential to her because she's a victim. The thought that occurs to me, though, is that if you get victimized at age 16 or 14 or whatever, and then continue to hang out with those people and become part of their gang, then you become an adult and get involved in the crimes. It's sad for that victim, and perhaps they would be sentenced in a way that would reflect a different kind of punishment than the person who brought them into that. But at the same time, you can't go and examine the motivation of every criminal and say, well, this person had a sad life or something terrible happened to them or they really needed the money, so it's okay that they did this horrible crime. I mean, that's just not the way that it goes. And it seems to me that at some point during her time there, Giuffre was converted from a victim into an accomplice, and I think she continued that role. Again, I haven't proven these things. These are my opinions based on this public domain evidence that I've seen, and my opinions may differ from other people's opinions. If Virginia Giuffre would like to sue me, she can do that. We'll find out a lot more about some of these claims that I'm making and some of these things that I'm saying, but she won't do that because there was a purpose for her lawsuit. And generating money for the Boies law firm, people sent her money. They start these websites for GoFundMe, send her money. They put her on the news, make her a sympathetic character, and suddenly $500,000 goes to the Boies law firm. I am so convinced that case was lawfare. Dershowitz was running around that courtroom. I've come to know him pretty well, not personally, but just from observing him and observing the way that he acts, the 2 times that I questioned him or whatever we would, call that. Let's see, how do we change that mode? I don't know, maybe, did that do it? Oh, that's terrible. I don't know. I think it's okay. So that's one reason, is that they're raising money for the law firms, obviously. I also got the sense that they were maybe trying to keep certain evidence under seal. I guess that wouldn't keep it out of a criminal case, though. If the judge wanted it in, they'd say, forget about that civil thing, we're overriding that. But it's mostly to get things into the public domain and to lay things down on the record. Certainly that is a reason. That I could tell was going on in my Emmy's case, where they would sit there saying things in court, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? They're just stating obvious falsehoods when the facts are right in their face, and they are creating the record, because that's the official record. Whatever happened doesn't matter. These people are so psychopathic and self-important that they believe they control reality. I'm not exaggerating. This is what I meant when I was talking about stipulated reality. Look at that. Somebody's doing graffiti on behalf of, whoa, RDS. He lives. Also, did people notice that Scott Bennett is also apparently dead? I wonder. Has anybody seen any evidence that he's actually dead? These are all lawfare stooges who have had different roles at different times. But definitely laying out the record is probably the primary purpose of lawfare, because then you can go back to that record. You can set precedents that can be used in other cases. You can, if a judge makes a ruling in some lawfare case, you can then give another judge judicial notice of that, and they just take it. They'll say, oh, well, this court decided Felix Sater did X, Y, and Z. See, Cult, despite making rulings that do seem congruent with the law and justice that have shut down some of George's brother's stupid things, he also hasn't acted on my motions. I had a motion for Rule 11 sanctions that he just completely ignored. And then he was like, oh, whoops, I didn't see that. And then he said, yeah, I'm denying it. Just the fact that Swigert had filed 3 virtually identical lawsuits against me in 3 different jurisdictions simultaneously should have been sufficient, in my view, to sanction him under Rule 11, but the judge did not. Why? I think he might be participating in lawfare. Because again, this is a very subtle play. It's not just banging you over the head with an expensive lawsuit and forcing you to hire an attorney. Yeah, obviously, that's part of it. But that's just the entry, that's the ante. That's the table minimum. The real purpose is to execute complicated legal plans. Lay down false stipulated facts in the record so that you can proceed to your next crooked scheme. And so what Joe Biden has done is the single grossest abuse of the presidential pardon power, and I don't believe it's constitutional. Somebody needs to challenge it, not in the way this completely flaccid DOJ loser David Weiss has. Somebody needs to get up in there and tell the Supreme Court that this pardon cannot stand because it is unconstitutional in that Joe Biden has executed it in a case of impeachment. It has an impact on a case of impeachment, and that is the one exception. David Weiss is part of this. His objection or his motion to do whatever the hell it is he thinks he's going to do with that motion, I'm sorry, no. That is weak shit. And by the way, that's also lawfare. Snyder was submitting motions on my behalf while he was throwing the case. You've got to pretend. You've got to make it look like you're actually doing something. This is what I'm talking about when I mention the Superman 2 analogy. People who have been watching for a long time might be getting bored of hearing me say this, but when I was a kid, I loved the movie Superman 2, and one of the key plot points was that Lois Lane was figuring out that Clark Kent was Superman and doing various things to put herself in danger in the hope that Superman would rescue her and she would provide evidence that Clark Kent had to turn into Superman to rescue her. Now, obviously, he could have done that. Lois Lane jumps out of a building. It's quite easy for Superman to fly and catch her in that fictional world. What is a challenge is to save her while constrained by the restrained, I guess it doesn't matter, but having the limitation of you can't reveal to anyone that you're Superman while you're doing this. This creates a whole new complicated array of things that Superman has to do to achieve the objective of saving without revealing that you're Superman. Now, certainly, if I'm in a courtroom, if Caproni says, let's say we're sitting in silence and she walks in and says, Mr. Goodman, come up here and testify, and I say, I didn't know that this piece of information was protected by this court order, she could say, you're lying, that's contempt of court, bang, bailiff, take him to jail. She could do that. That's the equivalent of Superman jumping out of the Daily Planet when Lois Lane falls out the window, and as Clark Kent flying down and catching her and revealing that even though you're not dressed as Superman, you're obviously Superman, or taking off the suit and coming out as Superman, whatever. He doesn't want to reveal that he's Superman. It would be easy to do. It would be easy. Valerie Caproni is a U.S. District Court judge. When I'm inside her court, if she bangs the gavel and says, bailiff, take Goodman to jail for contempt of court, that will happen. Now, she's reluctant to do that, except for, I would think, in the most extreme cases, because logically, I'm going to get out, someone's going to find out, and there will be repercussions for that. So she doesn't want to do it that way, right? She wants to hide the fact that she has these superpowers to destroy people's lives and do it under the cover of a legitimate judge acting legitimately, just as Superman Clark Kent wants to save Lois Lane while remaining dressed as Clark Kent and not doing anything that appears overtly superhuman. The tactics he comes up with in the movie is, he lowers his glasses and shoots a tree with his laser eyes, and that drops a log into the water, and she catches the log, and then he swims and saves her, and he's almost drowning, and so she fools her. They do these things to fool you into thinking that Oh, no, I'm a legitimate lawyer fighting this. This is outrageous. I'm David Weiss. How could Joe Biden do this? No, this ruling has to stand. He's not actually attacking the one element of this thing that could take it out. It's unconstitutional. Joe Biden has just issued a pardon in the face of the one exception to the presidential pardon power, a case of impeachment. How is nobody talking about this? Oh yeah, there's the Standard Hotel, not the one that Adam Schiff goes to. But that's part of the lawfare, making you think David Weiss is working for the people or for the United States of America or whatever it is, when he's actually working for the benefit of the defense. In the same way that Snyder needed to make me feel like he was my attorney working for me, when in fact he was making sure that the opposition would win and that I would be left in the most vulnerable, beaten condition possible. And listen, what I'm describing, these aspects of lawfare, it falls into the broader topic of social engineering, which I've spoken about many times before. Look at this. Edges of Ailey. What is that? Alvin Ailey. That's ballet, though, but this is the Whitney Museum. Do they have ballet stuff there? I thought it was just paintings. They got bobcats up here. It's weird. So there's another strange thing that Snyder did that perhaps I haven't spoken about too much. Because he was allegedly getting so pissed off at George's brother from the agitation he was causing, he said, Snyder, he said, I'm going to help you write a motion for summary judgment to get Swigert off your back. And what he did was an incomplete motion for summary judgment. Now, I wasn't checking Snyder's work because, that's like checking your surgeon's work. You're not a surgeon. I'm not a lawyer, so how can I check the lawyer's work? I just trusted him and told him what I wanted done, and he submitted stuff, and then I often would learn when it was too late that he submitted stuff that had nothing to do with what I asked him to do and added things that were idiotic and really hurt my case. But so he failed to defeat Swigert. This is a Harvard lawyer who's apparently skilled enough to take on Boies Schiller Flexner, couldn't even dispatch a stupid David Swigert lawsuit with a motion for summary judgment. And I've come to believe that that was also deliberate, because what's happened now is the one piece of shit claim that survived that motion for summary judgment was brought back in this case that's in front of Colt. And he's saying, Jason wants to dismiss this case, but this one claim survived a motion for summary judgment, so we're going to let that survive here. I don't really care, because George's brother is going to lose, even though he's cheating, and even though these judges are helping him and everything. Is that Elon Musk? Somebody going to the Tesla place with their Tesla. Oh, it's got a California plate on it. So Snyder is a lawfare practitioner, and people are getting upset because I've had questions about Kash Patel. I'm not saying Kash Patel is a bad guy. I don't know Kash Patel. I never met him. I'm just saying I'm very cautious, because I'm aware that the number one play here is to get somebody as close to you as possible and make you trust them implicitly, and then have them drive the knife. See, most of the social engineers that I've been dealing with have been low-end, throwaway schmucks. Because when I started all of this 8 years ago, whoever it is that's setting these people upon me, I guess presumed that I was just an idiot who they were going to be able to, or they have a shrubbery maze here now. This was an ice skating rink. This is like a mini shrub maze. It's kind of fake shrubs. Is this a hedgerow? Is there a bustle in this? I think there, you get to a beer garden at the end of it. Anyway, that's interesting. Hedge maze. So, I mean, just saying that the courts are rigged, it's quite vague. I don't think I realized that the doors opened like that. Oh, that's not the, that's the cyber cab. That's not the, wow, they got that here right away. Huh, so this is the automated self-driving taxi that has no steering wheel whatsoever in there. I don't know if people can see that from here, but that's a new addition here at the Tesla store. They still have the old robot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm increasingly, everybody is in love with Elon Musk, and it's fantastic what he's proposing, but I'm becoming concerned that he might be full of shit. Because you still get banned from X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it if you say the right thing. I told Jason Calacanis, that he is, I think I said each post you make is stupider than the last. And immediately I got a notice that my account was restricted. JCal is one of, according to JCal, he's one of Elon Musk's best friends and was with Elon Musk at Twitter New York on November 1st, 2022, when I got choked. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that after I told him he was stupid, within seconds, my account was temporarily locked. Then, something also happened with Mindy. Now, Mindy is part of this Michael Flynn array of morons, and she's just super interested in the Las Vegas shooting, despite knowing nothing about it except what she's learned from stealing John Cullen's videos. And I just noticed that she had sent, she had posted a tweet saying, "Hey, Joe Rogan, why don't you have me on your show to talk about Vegas?" And I don't know, it looked like there were only, I think, 11 or 12 other responses, and maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong. I just get the feeling that if you can get a response in early on somebody with a big account, maybe it's more likely that people will see your response because it's closer to the top, something like that. I'm not sure. That's a sketchy, scary looking guy who was staring at me the whole time. Then he turned around to look at me. When he saw I had a camera on him, he looked the other way. Who is that guy? Yeah, so why is Mindy suddenly interested in going on Joe Rogan to talk about the Las Vegas shooting? It happened 7 years ago. Why is that back in the news now? Why was Ian Carroll interested in that, and why did he stop responding to messages from me after the election? I don't know, but I think there's still something about the Vegas shooting that is not wrapped up the way that they want it wrapped up. Look at this brick overhaul of this whole area on the corner here. Pretty nice. Yeah, but obviously she wants to go on Joe Rogan to lay down her stupid version of what happened. So it's strange that vapid bimbo, she thinks she gave John Cullen credit, but in fact, see, people who don't understand the scope of this situation say, oh, that's all public domain video and John took it from somebody, so she took it from him, stop whining and complaining. Wrong. What John did was, people went to that concert.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
And then posted videos saying oh my God, here's the concert, look at what happened, and then just the raw video. And then what John did was, he spent hours and days, poring over all that footage and finding little things that he circled, red circles around dots in the sky. Mindy watched that and took John's work and put it out. And I mean, it's not like a bunch of people are saying, wow, Mindy did this documentary about John Cullen's research, and John's the most amazing Vegas researcher. He figured out all this stuff that nobody else figured out. She's obviously taking credit for it. Anytime John contacted her to want to talk about it, she's been a little bitch. She claims she contacted him, but has never produced any evidence of that whatsoever. And I've begun looking into this stupid bitch because she is also going to get sued. And what's interesting is she's very identity duplexed. In fact, in some ways, unlike anybody I've seen before. I also found out that her boyfriend is ex-Army and his business is listed as her home address. That might make it difficult to sue her, but not him. And he seems to be her agent. So I think he might be responsible for civil torts that she commits. And he might get sued. I'm just going to spend all my time suing everybody. And you know what? I got to be careful too, because that might be what they want. Just get me constantly tied up in this stuff. I mean, obviously it is. They want me tied up in their stupid lawsuits, not executing lawsuits that will get to the bottom of why does Flynn and his network of idiots care about the Las Vegas shooting? Why does he care about my conversations with Andrew Weissman relative to Felix Sater? Why? Doesn't seem like the type of thing that he should care about, but he does. Seems very, very concerned with that. So anyway, yeah. You know, Rakishev. This is outrageous. I mean, I really hope some attorney with the ability to do something will challenge this pardon, but I'm not getting a strong sense that that's going to happen. This guy, David Weiss, he's basically, yeah, I mean, he's still working for them. He's doing lawfare. He's trying to make everybody think that the important topic is that the grand jury found Hunter Biden. That doesn't matter. The important issue is we've got international criminality here where these guys are not only selling out the United States, but enabling dangerous criminals in other countries. Like, you hear about some of the things these associates of Rakishev and Obliazov and, Krapinov, all of these people that Felix Sater was interacting with. These are terrible guys. They shouldn't be getting money and running companies. They should be in jail. And we still really don't know what Felix Sater, who was involved in sending them there. I mean, he's said that he was, they wanted him to do money laundering. He was working with the FBI to catch people. I mean, these are how these undercover schemes work. They say, okay, you can continue to do money laundering because you're informing. And we've spoken about this many times, how the FBI and the cops or whoever have these undercover operatives. They just grant them, I mean, by what authority, but they just grant them the right to go and do crimes that if you did or I did, you would definitely go to jail. Then, if you find out about those crimes and start presenting evidence or getting involved in legal cases that could substantially affect the people doing those crimes, they treat you like a criminal. Take away all your money, take away your business, take away your rights, make it so you're not allowed to exercise the Second Amendment, not allowed to exercise the First Amendment. It's really disgraceful. And the people involved should go to jail for the rest of their lives. I have to figure out what I can do, because I just think that all of these judges are corrupt in their own unique ways. I had this notion that maybe Colt was not, and that was in part due to my experience sitting there observing him preside over city of Almaty, Kazakhstan versus Felix Sater. But I don't know. And you know what? I knew that Rakishev was involved with Hunter Biden, but somehow seeing that Senate report today with the date 2014 on there, February 2014. So whatever Hunter Biden was doing with Rakishev, and there is Joe Biden in the picture with the guy. How is this not unconstitutional? How is this not a case of impeachment that he's just pardoned the key witness in the case? His key co-conspirator. Hunter Biden is a cutout for Joe Biden. This cannot be allowed to stand. This is an unconstitutional pardon. I don't know. How can it be? You know what? I'm going to challenge it. How can I challenge it? I don't know. Do I have standing? I'm a citizen of the United States. What would give me standing? See, this weed place is out of business. They're all out of business. So weird. I detected criminality there, and frankly, I detect criminality in the way that it got closed as well. Eric Adams and all of his buddies just keeping the money. That was pretty outrageous. So many things out of business. I don't know. What do people think about this? This is absolutely one of the craziest things to ever happen. Grossest abuse of the presidential pardon in the history of presidential pardons. I think this used to be a seafood restaurant. Yeah. Well, license to sell liquor. I don't know what's going on, but it looks closed as hell. Why did I get all that static over there? What you laughing at? That guy was taking a picture of me for some reason. Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, this is the most outrageous abuse of the presidential pardon in history. And yeah. So it looks like I've just timed myself out of playing this before the show that is coming up with Scott McMahon. So when you see this, that show will have already happened. And it's going to be a great show because I spoke with Scott earlier and he was telling me all about Greg Phillips and circumstances that I'm not directly familiar with. I've heard of that guy and True the Vote and all that, but I don't know the details of what they were doing. So this will be a great episode where his knowledge and my knowledge converge, and I'm excited for that because just in speaking to him, there's a lot of things that he knows about, details about the Flynn network that I was unaware of. So definitely get over to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. You can also watch my shows with Scott on biggertruth.com. That's his Substack. Scott is doing great work. I've been really impressed by his investigations and just all the stuff that he knows. Again, sharing this kind of information is super important. And I wanted to get this walk in while the sun was out and it was nice. But there were a lot of advantages to me time shifting them, and I've gotten to a point where unless there's a specific reason for me to be live, I often do like to time shift. So people will be watching this saying, wait a minute, is this live? It's dark in New York right now. So the answer is, I'm live right now, but by the time you see this, it will be pre-recorded. In the industry, we call this live to tape, or at least they used to, even though there is no tape involved. So that's a complicated explanation. Oh my God. Why does this place want Kirsten Gillibrand to be the damn senator? You know, she's the one who nominated Caproni. Gillibrand, she's an idiot, and that is a store for idiots. So here's the police standing around. What the hell are they doing? Nothing, obviously. I'm surprised they're not texting. It's incompetent. So yeah, if you have not yet seen that episode of Scott, tune in for that. Very interested to see what he has to say. We got to keep our eyes on, what is Hunter Biden going to do next? I think he disappears. A lot of people are saying, oh no, there's a silver lining. He's going to be able to testify and not plead the Fifth Amendment. Guess what? That is never going to happen. That is not happening. I do not see that happening. Hunter Biden's not testifying against anybody. Unless they can strip him of this pardon, arrest him, and force him to do it, even then, I think it's a Jeffrey Epstein departure for this guy. That might happen anyway, just to make sure nobody can talk to him about anything. And it's like, go be upset about the pardon. Yeah, I mean, these people are confident that nothing will happen, no matter what. We have to break that cycle. Or that's it. The country cannot sustain. The debt, the corruption, it can't be sustained. The city is a wreck. Just packages everywhere. Why aren't criminals stealing those packages? It seems like easily done. I guess they just want to terrorize people with violence. I mean, we're hearing a ton of stuff about Tren de Aragua. There was something in the Post yesterday that they turned some hotel in Texas into some kind of child trafficking. I mean, it seems to be the business model at the Walcott. Cops don't care. By the way, some of the allegations against these crazy criminals in Kazakhstan, yes, child trafficking, yes, child rape, child death fights, like 8-year-olds fighting each other to the death. I don't know if this is true. These are the allegations. But, I mean, first of all, the guy, I'm pretty sure it was Ablyazov. No, maybe not him. There was a guy who was the vice president of the bank, and they were like, hey, let's go golfing. And then somebody murdered him on the golf trip, and then this guy took over the bank. So, I mean, these are bad crimes. I mean, everything they're saying about Trump is like super obviously untrue, because despite the incredible efforts they've gone to create evidence and try to prosecute him for stuff, they haven't even been able to do it when cheating. Sort of like, George's stupid brother, even with all the judges on his side, 4 law firms against me, no experience litigating at all, I'm still defeating him because he's a stupid idiot. That's why his father went to his death hating him and would have used his last ounce of energy to punch him in the face because he's a goddamn idiot. He deserves to spend the rest of his life in jail, suffering. I'd be delighted if that happened. That would be justice. Future of garbage. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's done absolutely nothing. Anyway, I'm going to look into what would be the approach to legally challenging. I don't know who even has standing to do that, but I mean, Congress, Alina Habba, who? Anyway, oh yeah, here's the cookie line. Let's check that out. I don't understand why people are so crazy for these cookies. Maybe I told everybody. I walked by the other day and there was no line, so I said, oh, let me go in there and see what's up with the cookies. But there was a little line inside the place, and I realized the reason why there's a line is that there's like 6 people working in there. Well, forgive me, 6 people employed there who are standing around not making cookies. I mean, maybe that's part of their whole plan to make people think, oh my God, look at the demand for these cookies. But they're just actually making like, 0.5 cookies per hour because they got a bunch of lazy idiots in there. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day. Hopefully, Kenneth Rakishev doesn't get to take over the, I don't know what he's trying to do, gas business or something, but become a sponsor on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth or crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. You can see today's episode with Scott McMahon and lots of other great stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.